When the phone woke me in the middle of the night, I knew it could only be bad news. Still, the words stunned me. "We've had a fire." It was our trusted CEO, Emerson, and my eyes filled with tears. Christmas Eve and another abortion clinic set ablaze was an old story, even then. But that night, the clinic burning was ours. Anyone hurt? No. Good. Now I could go numb and shift into action mode. My classic defense against horrors. It comes in handy. Within minutes, I was on the phone, booking the first flight back to Dallas. Our Christmas in Santa Fe was over, and the holiday would forever hold a different meaning in our lives. When we arrived in Dallas, we learned there had been 3 suspicious fires that night, all at Dallas clinics providing abortion care. They fit the pattern of Christmas arson attacks that began in Pensacola, Florida, in 1984, when the arsonists proudly claimed their handiwork as gifts to the baby Jesus. Like many of the Christmas arsons that followed, ours would never be solved. The police guard on duty at the clinic met us in the back parking lot. In the slanting afternoon light of winter, we walked the perimeter of the building toward what had once been the administrative office at the rear. Portions of the pitched roof had collapsed atop the remains of batten-board walls, insulation, and sheetrock. Desks, chairs, typewriters, file cabinets, and huge shards of plate glass that had once been windows poked out of the blackened heap. "This is where the fire was set," the officer explained. A patch of grass and a wooden fence along the alley had been doused with gasoline, then lit. I had expected a dismal scene, but somehow the reality was even more wrenching, in part because Kyle was with us. I had always hoped to protect our children, a futile wish, but one I'd clung to nonetheless. Providing abortions had been our career choice, not theirs. Kyle's older brother and sister were far away, launching their own interesting careers. Kyle was spending Christmas Day at a crime scene, and I was heartsick.
Curtis. We followed the police officer deeper into the ruins. The clinic had been a 2-story wood frame house that I repurposed in 1973 as the first legal abortion facility in the U.S. Southwest. The administrative office was an addition, separated from the medical offices by a solid wall of concrete blocks, which had served as a firewall. Without it, the entire building would have been consumed. We entered the clinic through what had been the back door, now broken down by firefighters. The officer gave us flashlights, and their beams guided us through an eerie landscape of familiar rooms and furniture. Water was puddled on the linoleum floor of the surgery and lab rooms. As we picked our way into the recovery room, with its carpeted floor and comfortable wraparound sofa intended to signal to patients that they were back to everyday life, the carpeting squished underfoot. Walking along the hallway to the waiting room, furnished like a living room in an inviting home, we saw that patches of wall were smudged with soot that had been carried from the back office through the shared ventilation system. Up the spiral stairs to the second floor's more private counseling areas, the scene was even worse. In addition to the water damage and grayed walls, an indefinable stench, burned plastics, wood, and composite shingles permeated the place, the smell of destruction. We were relieved that the Dallas Fire Department had saved the clinic and that no one was hurt. We always closed at that time of year so staff could have truly happy holidays and we could have family time. Still, we were shaken. Kyle, who had long known about and supported our work, felt worried for us in ways he'd never expressed. I had performed my first abortion in the year Kyle was born. Now, as we stood in the parking lot at dusk, breathing fresh air in gulps, he said, "Do you have to keep doing this work?" Glenna and I were silent for a long moment. Then I simply said, "No, we choose to."